Gents, I just want to pause the episode for a moment to let you know about the Strong Men of Value Academy. You will have heard me refer to it a number of times, and I want to bring more attention to it. So this isn't just a program, it's a life-changing environment and community of men who are focused on personal and professional growth. We're looking at areas of relationships, wealth, and health, things to help you thrive and maximize your life. Imagine having bi-monthly one-on-one coaching sessions with myself, weekly group coaching calls, and an incredible brotherhood of high achievers by your side. Now we're diving into resilience, leadership, and holistic growth to not just succeed in your career, but to thrive in your health and your relationships. Your journey to greatness, it starts here. So join the movement and you can apply for the Strong Men of Value Academy. You can head to themanthatcanproject.com to find out more.
You're listening to The Man That Can Project with Lachlan Stuart, a global movement created to empower men and open up what's really going through their minds by having real and raw conversations about life's unique challenges and our individual ways of processing it all. Welcome to The Man That Can Project.
Welcome back to another episode of the Man That Can Project podcast. I'm your host, Lachlan Stuart, and I am stoked that you guys are tuning in here on whatever platform you're tuning in from. Remember, if it is your first time, hit subscribe or follow because you don't want to miss any more of these incredible episodes, especially today, what we're going to be talking about. And this one, I just finished with a client actually, and I've been been fucking pissed off over this one all day, but been thinking about some excuses that I continually hear. And I think these three are excuses that you shouldn't use. And I'm going to tell you why. And I'm going to tell you what you can do to overcome it, because obviously there are excuses that add value to your life. I truly believe, and I use them, but there are also excuses that help you just navigate around doing the work, and they stunt your motivation and also performance. So I'm going to help you identify those, and I'll tell you what they are. Quickly, before we dive in, I am definitely going to do a plug for the Strong Men of Value program. It is phenomenal. No matter where you're at in the world, you can join it. You can become a man in momentum. Okay, within that, we help you build a strong mind and strong body using fitness programming, and also our incredible community and motivation mindset tools, utilizing and helping you master the 8 areas of life. So if you want to get a 7-day free trial, whatever platform you're listening to, there should be a link below in the show notes. Click on that and we'll see you in there. I look forward to connecting and welcome you into our community, because it's epic. We've got men from all around the world, and we're excited to have you in there. Unless you're a Collingwood supporter. If you're a Collingwood supporter, definitely not welcome. I'm just kidding. But anyway, let's crack in with it. So before we dive into it, excuses are really self-handicapping. As I mentioned, the more frequently we use excuses rather than being honest, we're just, I guess, slowing down our own motivation, our performance, and honesty, right? Because whenever we lie, well, not lie, but find an excuse, eventually the same thing's going to keep popping up, and you will eventually run out of excuses. And staring right in front of you is going to be the thing that you probably should have addressed from the beginning. And the 3 excuses that you should definitely not fucking use, gents, are these ones. And I'm going to put them in no order, just what I've written them down here to talk off. But the first one is, I have too many events, or there's too many events coming up, or, most of my work meetings are done at lunches. I work with a lot of high performers in corporate, and I hear that so often. And I'm guilty of the first one, where I'm saying I have too many events. But here is where I'm going to show you the difference. People who come to work with me one-on-one, I'm not talking about the Strong Men of Value program, I'm talking about one-on-one, generally have something they want to improve in their life, right? Whether it be their self-esteem, confidence, physical health, mental, emotional health, whatever it is. They're there because they're at a point here, and let's call that point A. Okay? And they want to get to point B, right? And let's say point B is a few steps further ahead of point A, right? You can see within the gap is some work that needs to be done. And with alcohol, and let's use this example, and this is where this excuse generally comes up in regards to alcohol, is every time you continue to use that excuse, you're trying to make yourself feel better by not acknowledging what is right in front of you. And what is right in front of you is that you don't have the balls to say no to drinking alcohol. You don't have the balls to go to a lunch and still do a business deal without feeling like you have to wine and dine. And what that says to me is that you don't have enough confidence in yourself, right? You don't believe that you alone and the deal that you have is enough to get them over the line. You think that by whining and dining is going to make you more fucking likable. You know this full well, and I know the person across the table or the meeting from you knows this full well, and I know this full well, is that that's complete bullshit. It's just easier to say, yeah, we'll split a bottle of red than to say, no, I'm actually not drinking today. I've got to go home, right? I might have to look after my kids this afternoon. I might actually have to stick to my fitness program that I have committed to. Or you might just want to have an afternoon where you're not feeling a little bit dusty from drinking. But in the moment, in that short moment, that excuse is so much easier to tell your coach. And if you don't have a coach, you might just tell that to yourself. Every time you walk past the mirror and you see a body that you're not happy of, right? That fucking dad bod that everyone says off, or the beer gut. And you go, oh, can't keep drinking. I can't keep doing this. Or you might go home and have a blow up, a Barney with the missus, because you're home again late, you forgot to pick up the kids, or you're just drunk again, and you blow up and it causes more strain on the relationship. But then you go, to your partner or to whoever I had to do this work lunch because I needed to close that deal. That is absolute bullshit. And you need to stop believing that. You need to stop falling for that same trick, because that same bullshit excuse is going to be the one that puts you in a place where your health is so bad, your self-esteem is so bad, and your wife or your relationships break down and fall apart around you, and all that you'll have left to blame is yourself. This is one of those podcast episodes where I am calling you fucking out, because there are too many people who are not getting the results that they want. Things are not going well in their life, and it's off the back of their own excuses, because in the moment that excuse is easier. And the saying goes that if you take the easy road now, you'll live a hard life. But if you take the hard road now, you'll live an easy life, because that's where the growth is, on the hard road. Excuses aren't growth. The second one. So if you are one of those people who apparently have too many events coming up, like weddings, engagement parties, I'm talking to myself here, and that's the reason why you are continually binge drinking, don't be a dickhead. That's just you trying to pat yourself on the back and justify why you have poor habits that don't allow you to achieve what you want. And I want to give the flip side of this just quickly, just for those who are probably wondering what the flip side that I spoke about was. If you're not a binge drinker, but you do have certain events and you're happy to go have a few drinks, and it doesn't impact your life, right? If your health is still where you're at, in a position where you're happy with it, if your mental well-being and mental clarity and your performance at work or in your life or in your relationships as a parent, as a partner with your mates is to a standard that you're okay with, then that's fine, right? I wouldn't say that's an excuse, because it's not doing anything wrong. You're not trying to justify anything. You're just living your life. But if you're overweight, if you're unhealthy, if you're not sleeping well, if you're sucking at work, if your relationships are falling apart, drop the fucking excuse. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. The second excuse, I don't have enough time, or work is too busy. I hear this one a lot, especially when I'm working through with people about getting them to map out their week, right? So many of us are so busy. We're too busy to catch up with this. We're too busy to see kids' sports. We're too busy to exercise. We're too busy to spend time looking after our own mental well-being. We're too busy to pursue hobbies that we have. And that excuse, gentlemen, is going to get us where most men before us have been, to a point where we're overweight, we're unhappy, we're unfulfilled, and we're fucking lonely and probably stressed out as well. And if you don't want to be in that position, or if you're already in that position and you want to get out of that position, stop believing that you don't have time. It's a lack in priorities. It's a lack in structure, and it's a lack in discipline. And if you want to continue to use the excuse, right, you won't change your results. But if you are prepared to look yourself in the mirror and accept responsibility for your life and the outcomes and just really take ownership, you do have time. What has to now happen is you need to create structure, right? And I'll give you a few tips on how to do this. Grab yourself a diary or a planner next to me here, and write down the non-negotiables. Your non-negotiables would, I would imagine, be sleep. I would imagine would be work. I would imagine would be exercise, because if you're listening to this podcast, you know we're strong men of value, and that's something that we prioritize. I would imagine it would be self-care or personal development. So whether that's reading, morning routine, whatever. And then there would be family time. Go through and put that in your diary now. If you just ordered one off eBay, wait till it gets here and buy it and put it in. Then you'll notice in there the spare time that you have available, and you get to decide what you choose to do with that time. And that time should be spent really helping you move towards your goals or helping you be a better version of yourself. Okay, that's what I would spend that time with, 100%. So the whole thing around I don't have enough time, grab yourself a diary. That's just every time you catch yourself saying I don't have time, even if you don't pull yourself up on it straight away, slowly start getting better, because I still say this one, right? So everything that I'm saying to you guys, I'm saying to myself as well, to some degree. I'm still quite healthy and look after my mental well-being more than most. But I hate saying but, I've said it too many times in this episode. We need to identify where our time needs to go. We need to be aware when we use that excuse, and we need to start thinking about, why am I making that excuse? If you're making that excuse because the end result of you doing whatever is on the other side of that could be shattered self-esteem, it could be, something detrimental to your life, then I'd say fair play that card. But if it's moving you something that's going to improve your quality of life, your relationship, your finances, you as a person, it's got to stop. Like, you know what your goals are. You know what your ambitions are. You're ambitious men. I know that. So if you're starting to make excuses as to why you can't do things around that, then stop. And here's one to think about, right? Man, if you think you're the breadwinner, right? If you think that your career matters so much more than helping out around the house, pull your fucking head in. Because I guarantee you your relationship won't last. It's not the fact that helping around the house is a task and a chore and it takes you away from your work, etc. It's more so that you're showing your partner that you're there to support them. And how important is that relationship to you? And this is why reflection, context, thinking, communication, and understanding are so important when creating an ideal life. Right? So second excuse you got to get rid of is I don't have enough time, or work is too busy. Right? Because you'll end up alone, fat, and unhappy, and probably stressed because of all of that's happening. The final one that I want to talk about, she doesn't give me enough sex. Let's just run with she, because that's what I'll say for myself. She doesn't give me enough sex, right? I've heard men who listen to porn. You probably could listen to porn, watch porn, cheat, get frustrated with their partners, even have arguments over it because they don't feel like they're getting enough sex. And what I feel is being missed here, because I've said this before, is communication. Right? For me, if you keep saying she doesn't give me enough sex, you're not taking responsibility. You're not taking ownership for the relationship, right? You're 50% of the problem, but you're 100% of the solution. So I'll repeat that again. You're 50% of the problem, but you're 100% of the solution. So if you're not getting enough sex, if your needs aren't met, how well and effectively have you communicated that? And it's like if you've listened to the podcast with GS Youngblood, I think it's episode 314, where he talks about that. He says, often women feel that if they're emotionally starved, like the emotional vulnerability that we provide is starved, then it's almost like us as men being starved of sex, right? For them, it's the lack of connection because for me personally, it's a sense of connection. It's a sense of love and belonging. So if my needs aren't being met, then I'll start making it into bigger problems. Is we need to think about that, right? So what can you do? Have you sat down and expressed what you're feeling? Rather than just going, oh, she doesn't give me enough sex. That's why I look at so much porn. You're avoiding the problem. You're avoiding your growth. You're avoiding improving your performance. You're avoiding your motivation. So don't avoid men. The reason you guys are, I consider everyone who listens to this podcast strong men of value. I consider you real men that I would inspire to be like. I would be inspired to have a beer with, a coffee with, because you guys are showing up, you're putting in the time, but it also means that you want to take ownership, which means every excuse that I've spoken about, that if you say it and you use it and you don't acknowledge it and you don't improve on it, you now will. Because you're here to be better. You're here to take ownership. You're here to step up. Think about these questions when she doesn't give me enough sex pops up. What am I currently doing, or what am I not currently doing that is causing this for her not to find me desirable? And I'm not saying she mightn't find you desirable. I'm just finding, I definitely believe something's lacking there if your needs aren't met, or one, whether it's communication and establishing boundaries or expectations. But two, it's generally coming from a place that you're not helping her feel wanted, needed, and desired. And therefore, in order for you to find out how you can best make her feel that way, you need to then communicate. So, gents, if you're wanting to stop using excuses, first and foremost, just pull yourself up on them. Right? Next time you catch yourself saying an excuse, you might pull yourself up on the spot. And like I guess I did earlier in this podcast, where I wanted to correct myself. I could have easily had let that go, but I know it would have been playing on my mind. And for me, I didn't want to offend anyone, even though I know I don't offend anyone. You guys get offended for yourself, but I didn't want to use the correct terminology. So I was thinking about it, and I just expressed that. It's the same with any form of communication, or anytime we use an excuse. If you catch yourself blatantly not living up to the standards that you have, or stepping forward into that fear that you're maybe trying to avoid, or that opportunity to grow, to be better, then catch yourself out on it. You might say, okay, next time I'm aware of that. I acknowledge that wasn't the best thing for me to say. And you can say this out loud and, try and reverse what was done. Or you can go, okay, next time I'm going to own this. I'm not going to use the excuse. I'm ready to step forward. I'm ready to step up, because that's what I want for the quality of my life. So, I'm continuing to do this every day. And I know by doing podcasts, I know by doing videos, I know by speaking to you guys, speaking to my mates, I am continually challenging myself to be better. I'm continually becoming face to face with opportunities for myself to use excuses. And sometimes I take them. Sometimes I beat myself up for that. And other times it's probably the best move, because it got me out of a tough situation. But I'm always acknowledging, and I'm always understanding that this is an opportunity for me to grow, and I want to be better. So, gents, thank you for tuning in. If you got value from this episode, please share it on social media. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, because without you legends listening in, I wouldn't be continuing to sit here. Oh, I probably would, actually. I enjoy it. But I wouldn't be continuing to sit here, and the show doesn't grow without you guys. You guys are a huge part of the growth of the Man That Can project. And every time you tune in here, and listen and learn. I know it's allowing you to be a part of the ripple effect to have impact on men and families all around the world. So thank you guys for tuning in, and I look forward to meeting with you guys in the future. Thank you for listening to the Man That Can Project podcast. My name is Lachlan Stuart, and I hope you enjoyed this episode and found it helpful. If you did, please take a moment to rate and review the Man That Can Project on your favorite podcast platform. And don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with our newest episodes. We'll see you again next time.